ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaskar, my dear friends. This is 8th video on talks with Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda was a direct disciple of Bhuvaneshwari Paramahansa Ramakrishna. I start video number 8 with talk number 25. Brahma and differentiation, personal realization of oneness, supreme bliss is the goal of all. Think always I am Brahma. Discrimination and renunciation are the means. Be fearless. So these are the topics to be covered in this video, and place of the talk is the Malur Mutt while under construction, year 1898. Disciple ask a question. Pray, Swamiji, if the one Brahma is the only reality, why then exist all this differentiation in the world? Swami Vivekananda replies, are you not considering this question from the point of view of phenomenal existence? Looking from the phenomenal side of existence, one can, through reasoning and discrimination, gradually arrive at the very root of unity. But if you were firmly established in that unity, how from that standpoint, tell me, could you see this differentiation? Disciple puts a question. True, if I had existed in the unity, how should I be able to raise this question of why? As I put this question, it is already taken for granted that I do so by seeing this diversity. Swamiji replies, very well, to inquire about the root of oneness through the diversity of phenomenal existence is named by the Shastras as Vyatireki reasoning, or the process of arguing by the indirect method. That is, first taking for granted something that is non-existent or unreal as existing or real, and then showing through the course of reasoning that that is not a substance existing or real. You are talking of the process of arriving at the truth through assuming that which is not true as true, are you not? Disciple, to my mind, the state of the existing or the seen seem to be self-evident and hence true, and that which is opposite to it seems on the other hand to be unreal. Swamiji, but the Vedas say one only without a second. And if in reality there is the one only that exists, the Dharma, then your differentiation is false. You believe in the Vedas, I suppose. Disciple, oh yes, for myself I hold the Vedas as the highest authority, but if in argument one does not accept them to be so, one must in that case have to be refuted by other means. Swamiji. That also can be done. Look here, a time comes when what you call differentiation vanishes and we cannot perceive it at all. I have experienced that state in my own life. Disciple, when have you done so? Swamiji, one day in the temple garden at Dakshineshwar City, Ramakrishna touched me over the heart, and first of all I began to see that the house is rooms, doors, windows, verandas, the trees, the sun, the moon, all were flying off, shattering to pieces as it were reduced to atoms and molecules and ultimately became merged in the Akasha. Gradually again, the Akasha also vanished, and after that, my consciousness of the ego with it. What happened next, I do not recollect. I was at first frightened, coming back, coming back from that state. Again, I began to see the houses, windows, doors, verandas, and other things. On another occasion, I had exactly the same realization by the side of a lake in America. Disciple, might not this state as well as be brought about by a derangement of the brain? And I do not understand what happiness there can be in realizing such a state. Here, Swamiji, a derangement of the brain. How can you call it so when it comes neither as the result of delirium from any disease, nor of intoxication from drinking, nor as an illusion produced by various sorts of queer breathing exercises? But when it comes to a normal man in full possession of his health and wits, there again this experience is in perfect harmony with the Vedas. It also coincides with the words of realization of the inspired rishis and acharyas of old. Do you take me at last to be a crack-brained man? Smiling. Disciple, oh no, I did not mean that. Of course, when there are to be found hundreds of illustrations about such realization of oneness in the Shastras, and when you say that it can be as directly realized as a fruit in the palm of one's hand, and when it has been your own personal experience in life perfectly coinciding with the words of the Vedas and other Shastras, how dare I say that it is false? Sri Shankaracharya also, realizing that state, has said, where is the universe vanished? And so on. Swamiji, no, this knowledge of oneness is what the Shastras speak of as the realization of the Brahma, by knowing which one gets rid of fear and the shackles of birth and death break forever. Having one realized that supreme bliss, one is no more overwhelmed by pleasure and pain of this world. Man being fettered by base, lust and wealth cannot enjoy that bliss of Brahma. Disciple, if it is so, and if we are really of the essence of the Supreme Brahma, then why do we not exert ourselves to gain that bliss? Why do we again and again run into the jaws of death, being decoyed by this worthless snare of lust and wealth? Swamiji, you speak as if man does not desire to have that bliss. Ponder over it, and you will see that whatever anyone is doing, he is doing in the hope of gaining that supreme bliss. Only not everyone is conscious of it and so cannot understand it. That supreme bliss fully exists in all, from Brahma down to the blade of grass. You are also that undivided Brahma. This very moment you can realize, if you think yourself truly and absolutely to be so, it is all mere want of direct perception. That you have taken service and worked so hard for the sake of your wife also shows that the aim is ultimately to attain to that supreme bliss of Brahma, being again and again entangled in the intricate maze of delusion and hard hit by sorrows and afflictions, the eye will turn of itself to one's own real nature, the inner self. It is owing to the presence of this desire for bliss in the heart that man, getting hard shocks and one after another, turns his eye inwards to his own self. A time is sure to come to everyone without exception when he will do so. To one it may be in this life, to another after thousands of incarnations. Disciple. It all depends upon the blessings of the Guru and the grace of the Lord. Swamiji. The wind of grace of the Lord is blowing on for over ever and ever. Do you spread your sail? Whenever you do anything, do it with your whole heart concentrated on it. Think day and night, I am of the essence of the Supreme. Existence, knowledge, bliss, what fear and anxiety have I? This body, mind, and intellect are all transient, and that which is beyond these is myself. Disciple. Thoughts like these come only for a while now and then, but quickly vanish, and I think all sorts of trash and nonsense. Swamiji, it happens like that in the initial stage, but gradually it is overcome. But from the beginning, intensity of desire in the mind is needed. Think always, I am ever pure, ever knowing, and ever free. How can I do anything evil? Can I ever be befooled like ordinary man with the insignificant charms of lust and wealth? Strengthen the mind with such thoughts. This will surely bring real goodness, real good. Disciple, once in a while strength of mind comes, but then again I think that if I would appear at the deputy magistrate's examination, wealth and name and fame would come and I should live well and happy. Swamiji, whenever such thoughts come in the mind, discriminate within yourself between the real and the unreal. Have you not read the Vedanta? Even when you sleep, keep the sword of discrimination at the head of your bed so that covetousness cannot approach you even in dream. Practicing such strength, renunciation will gradually come, and then you will see the portals of heaven are wide open to you. Disciple. If it is so, Swamiji, how is it then that the text on Bhakti say that too much of renunciation kills the feelings that make for tenderness? Swamiji, throw away, I say, text which teach these things like that. Without renunciation, without burning dispassion for sense objects, without turning away from wealth and lust, as from filthy abominations, ne siddhati brahmsata antriti. Never can one attain salvation even in the hundreds of Brahma's cycles. Repeating the names of the Lord, meditation, worship, offering liberations in sacred fire, penance, all these are for bringing forth a renunciation. One who has not gained renunciation know his efforts to be like unto those of the man who is pulling at the oars all the while that the boat is at anchor. ने परजया ने धनेन त्यागने के अमृतन मानसु neither by progeny nor by wealth But by renunciation alone some attain immortality. Disciple, well, mere renouncing of wealth and lust accomplish everything. Syanji, there are other hindrances on the path even after renouncing those two. Then, for example, comes name and fame. Very few men, unless of exceptional strength, can keep their balance under that. People shower honors upon them and various enjoyments creep in by degrees. It is owing to this that three-fourths of the Tyagis are debarred from further progress. For establishing this map and other things, who knows but that I may have to come back again. Disciple, if you say things like that, then we are undone. Swamiji, what fear? Abhor bhor me, be fearless. Mahasaya, how even while living the life of a householder, he is more than a sannyasi. This is very uncommon. I have rarely seen one like him. If anyone wants to be a householder, let him be like Naga Mahasaya. He shines like a brilliant luminary in the spiritual firmament of East Bengal. Ask the people of that part of the country to visit him often. That will do much good to them. Disciple Nag Mahasaya, it seems, is the living personification of humility in the play of Ramakrishna's divine drama on earth. Swamiji, decidedly so, without a shadow of doubt. I have a wish to go and see him once. Will you go with me? I love to see fields flooded over with water in the rains. Will you write to him? Disciple, certainly I will. He is always mad with joy when he hears about you and says that East Bengal will be sanctified into a place of pilgrimage by the dust of your feet. Swamiji, do you know Sri Ramakrishna used to speak of Nag Mahasaya as a flaming fire? Disciple, yes, so I have heard. At the request of Swamiji, the disciple partook of some prasada and left for Calcutta. Late in the evening, he was deeply thinking over the message of fearlessness that he had heard from the lips of the inspired teacher. I am free, I am free. Talk number 26, Renunciation of Kama Kanchana. God's mercy falls on those who struggle for realization. Unconditional mercy and Brahma are one. So these are the topics to be covered in this video. Place Belur Mutt under construction year 1898. Disciple puts a question. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Swamiji, that a man cannot progress far towards religious realization unless he first relinquishes kama, kanchana, lust and wealth. If so, what will become of householders, for their whole mind are set on these two things? Swamiji, it is true that the mind can never turn to God until the desire for lust and wealth has gone from it. Be a man, householder, or sannyasi. Know this for fact that as long as the mind is caught in these, so long true devotion, firmness, and shraddha, faith can never come. Disciple, where will the householders be then? What way are they to follow? Swamiji, to satisfy our smaller desires and have done with them forever, and to relinquish the greater ones by discrimination, that is the way. Without renunciation, God can never be realized. Yadi Brahma swam bodhet, even if Brahma himself enjoined otherwise. Disciple. But does renunciation of everything come as soon as one becomes a monk? Swamiji, sannyasis are at least struggling to make themselves ready for renunciation, whereas householders are in this matter like boatmen who work at their oars while the boat lies at anchor. Is the desire for enjoyment ever appeased? Bhuye eva bhi vardhate. It increases ever and ever. Disciple, why may not world weariness come after enjoying the objects of the senses over and over for a long time? Swamiji, to how many does that come? The mind becomes tarnished by constant contact with the object of the senses and receive a permanent molding and impress from them. Renunciation and renunciation alone is the real secret, the Mula mantra of all realization. Disciple, but there are such injunctions of the seers in the scriptures as these. Grahesu panche indriya nigrahastva, to restrain the five senses while living with one's wife and children is tapas. Nidvatragasya girham tapona. For him whose desires are under control, living in the midst of his family is the same as retiring into a forest for tapasya. Swamiji, blessed indeed are those who can renounce kama kanchana, living in their homes with their family, but how many can do that? Disciple, but then what about the sannyasis? Are they all able to relinquish dust and love for riches fully? Swamiji, as I said just now, sannyasis are on the path of renunciation. They have taken the field at least to fight for the goal, but householders, on the other hand, having no knowledge as yet of the danger that comes through lust and gold, do not even attempt to realize the self. That they must struggle to get rid of these is an idea that has not yet entered their mind. Disciple, but many of them are struggling for it. Swamiji, oh yes, and those who are doing so will surely renounce by degrees. Their inordinate attachment for kama kanchana will diminish gradually. But for those who procrastinate, saying, oh, not so soon, I shall do it when the time comes. Self realization is very far off. Let me realize the truth this moment. In this very life, these are the words of a hero. Such heroes are ever ready to renounce the very next moment, and to such the scripture says, Yadavre virjet tadharev parvarjet. The moment you feel disgust for the vanities of the world, leave it all and take the life of a monk. Disciple, but was not Sri Ramakrishna won't say all these attachments vanish through the grace of God when one prays to Him? Swamiji, yes, it is so, no doubt through His mercy, but one needs to be pure first before one can receive this mercy. Pure in thought, word, and deed, then it is that His grace descends on one. Disciple, but of what necessity is grace to him who can control himself in the thought, word, and deed? For then he would be able to develop himself in the path of spirituality by means of his own ex- exertion, exertions. Swamiji, the Lord is very merciful to him whom he sees struggling heart and soul for realization, but remain idle without any struggle, and you will see that his grace will never come. Disciple, everyone longs to be good, and yet the mind for some inscrutable reasons turns to evil. Does not everyone wish to be good, to be perfect, to realize God? Swamiji, know them to be already struggling who desire this. God destroys His mercy when the struggle is maintained. Disciple, in the history of the incarnations, we find many persons who we should say had led very dissipated lives and yet were able to realize God without much trouble and without performing any sadhana or devotion. How is this accounted for? Swamiji, yet but a great restless must already have come upon them. A long enjoyment of the objects of the senses must already have created in these deep disgust. A want of peace must have been consuming their very hearts. So deeply they had already felt this void in their hearts that life, even for a moment, had seemed unbearable to them unless they could gain that peace which follows in the train of the Lord's mercy. So God was kind to them. This development took place in them direct from tamas to sattva. Disciple. Then whatever was the path, they may be said to have realized God truly in that way. Swamiji, yes, why not? But is it not better to enter into a mansion by the main entrance than by its doorway of dishonor? Disciple, no doubt that is true. Yet the point is established that through mercy alone can one realize God. Swamiji, oh yes, that one can, but few indeed are there who do so. Disciple, it appears to me that those who seek to realize God by restraining their senses and renouncing lust and wealth hold to the free will theory of self exertion and self help, and that those who take the name of the Lord and depend on Him are made free by the Lord Himself of all worldly attachments and led by Him to the supreme stage of realization. Swamiji, true, those are the two different standpoints, the former held by the Jnanis and the latter by the Bhaktas. But the ideal of renunciation is the keynote of both. Disciple, no doubt about that, but Srijat Grish Chandra Ghosh once said to me that there would be no condition in God's mercy, there could be no law for it. If these were, then it could be no longer be termed mercy. The realm of grace or mercy must transcend all law. Swamiji, but there must be some higher law at work in the sphere alluded to be GC of which we are ignorant. Those are words indeed for the last stage of development, which alone is beyond time, space, and causation. But when we get there, who will be merciful and to whom, where there is no law of causation, there the worshipper and the worshipped, the meditator and the object of meditation, the knower and the known, all become one. Call that grace or Brahma if you will. It is all one uniform homogeneous entity. Disciple, Hearing these words from you, Swamiji, I have come to understand the essence of all philosophy and religion, Vedas and Vedanta. It seems as if I had hitherto been living in the midst of high sounding words without any meaning. Talk number 27. Topics to be covered: the doctrine of ahimsa and meat eating, the sattva, rajas, and tamas in man, discrimination of food and spirituality, ahara, the three defects in food, don't touch don't touchism, and caste prejudices, plan of restoring the old Chatur Varna and the laws of the rishis. Place Belur Mutt under construction year 1898. Disciple. Pray Swamiji, do tell me if there is any relation between the discrimination of food taken and the development of spirituality in man. Swamiji, yes, there is more or less. Disciple, is it proper or necessary to take fish and meat? Swamiji, take them, my boy, and if there be any harm in doing so, I will take care of that. Look at the masses of our country. What what a look of sadness on their faces and want of courage and enthusiasm in their hearts, with large stomachs and no strength in their hands and feet. A set of cowards frightened at every trifle. Disciple, does the taking of fish and meat give strength? Why do Buddhism and Vaishnavism preach ahimsa paramo dharma? Non-killing is the highest virtue, Swamiji. Buddhism and Vaishnavism are not two different things. During the decline of Buddhism in India, Hinduism took from her a few cardinal tenets of conduct and made them her own, and these have now come to be known as Vaishnavism. The Buddhist tenet, not killing is supreme virtue, is very good, but in trying to enforce it upon all by legislation without paying any heed to the capacities of the people at large, Buddhism has brought ruin upon India. I have come across many a religious heron in India who fed ants with sugar, and at the same time would not hesitate to bring ruin on his own brother for the sake of filthy lucre. Disciple, but in the Vedas as well as in the laws of Manu, there are injunctions to take fish and meat. Swamiji, injunctions to abstain from killing as well as for the Vedas enjoy ma hinsyat sarvabhutani, cause no injury to any being, and Manu, meaning religious hypocrite. The heroine, so the story goes, gave it out to the fishes that he had forsaken his old habit of catching fish and turned highly religious. So he took his stand by the brink of the water and feigned to the meditating, while in reality he was always watching his opportunity to catch the unwary fish. Also have said, Nivartiste Mahaphala, cessation of desire brings great results. Killing and non-killing have both been enjoined according to the individual capacity or fitness and adaptability of those who will observe the one practice or the other. Disciple, It is the fashion here nowadays give up fish and meat as soon as one takes to religion. And to many it is more sinful not to do so than to commit great sins as a adultery. How do you think such notions came into existence? Swamiji, what is the use of your knowing how they came? When you see clearly, do you note that such notions are working ruin to the country and our society? Just see the people of East Bengal eat much fish, meat, and turtle, and they are much healthier than those of this part of Bengal. Even the rich men of East Bengal have not yet taken to luchis or chapatis at night, and they do not suffer from acidity and dyspepsia like us. I have heard that in the villages of East Bengal, the people have not the slightest idea of what dyspepsia means. Disciple, quite so, Swamiji, we never complain of dyspepsia in our part of the country. I first heard of it after coming to these parts. We take fish with rice mornings and evenings. Swamiji, yes, take as much of that as you can without fearing criticism. The country has been flooded with dyspeptic Babaji is living on vegetables only. That is no sign of sattva but of deep tamas, the shadow of death. Brightness in the face, undaunted enthusiasm in the heart, and tremendous activity. These result from sattva, whereas idleness, lethargy, inordinate attachment, and sleep are the signs of tamas. Dissolve, but do not fish and meat increase rajas in man. Swamiji, that is what I want you to have. Rajas is badly needed just now. More than 90% of those whom you now take to be men with the sattva quality are only steeped in the deepest tamas. And if you find 1/16th of them to be really sattvika, what we want now is an immense awakening of Rajasika. Energy for the whole country is wrapped in the shroud of tamas. The people of this land must be fed and clothed, must be awakened, must be made more fully active, otherwise they will become inert as trees and stones. So I say eat large quantities of fish and meat by boy. Disciple. No, it does not. Disciple. Does a liking for fish and meat remain when one has fully developed the sattva quality? Swamiji, no, it does not. All liking for fish and meat disappears when pure sattva is highly developed, and these are the signs of its manifestation in a soul. Sacrifice of everything for others, perfect non-attachment to lust and wealth, want of pride and egoism, the desire for animal food cause indications are absent, and yet you find man siding with the non-killing party. Know it for a certainty that there is either hypocrisy or show of religion. When you yourself come to that stage of pure sattva, give up fish and meat by all means, disciple. But in the Chandogya Upanishad there is this passage, Ahar Sujo Sattva Suchi, though pure food, the sattva quality in a man becomes pure. Swamiji, yes, I know. Shankaracharya has said that the word ahara there means objects of the senses, whereas Sri Ramanuja has taken the meaning of ahara to be food. In my opinion, we should take the meaning of the word which reconciles both these points of view. Are we not past Are we to pass our lives discussing all the time about the purity and impurity of food only, or are we to practice the restraining of our senses? Surely the restraining of the senses is the main object, and the discrimination of good and bad and pure, impure foods only helps one to a certain extent or in gaining that, and there are, according to our scriptures, three things which make food impure. Number one, jati, dosa, or natural defects of a certain class of food like onion, garlic, etc. Two, nimitta, dosa, or defects arising from the presence of external impurities in it, such as dead insects, dust, etc., that attach to sweet meats brought in shops. 3. Aharya Asraya dosa, or defects that arise by the food coming from evil sources, as when it has been touched and handled by wicked persons. Special care should be taken to avoid the first and second class of defects, but in this country, men pay no regard to these very two and go on fighting for the third only, the very one that none but a yogi could really discriminate. The country from and to and is being bored to extinction by the cries don't touch of the non touchism party. In that exclusive circle of theirs, too, there is no discrimination of good and bad man, for their food may be taken from the hands of anyone who wears a thread round his neck and calls himself a Brahmana. Sri Ramakrishna was quite unable to take food in this indiscriminate way from the hands of any and all. It happened many a time that he would not accept food touched by a certain person or persons, and on rigorous investigation it would turn out that those these had some particular stand to hide. Your religion seems nowadays to be confined to the cooking pot alone. You put on one side the sublime truths of religion and fight, as they say, for the skin of the fruit and not for the fruit itself. Disciple, do you mean then that we should eat the food handled by anyone and everyone? Swamiji, why so? Now look here. You being a Brahman of a certain class, say of the Bhattacharya class, why should you not eat rice cooked by Brahmanas of all classes? Why should you, who belong to the Radi section, object to take rice cooked by a Brahmana of the Barendra section, or why you should a Barendra object to taking your rice? Again, why should not the other subcastes in the west and south of India, for example, the Marathi, Telugu, Kannauji, do the same? Do you not see that hundreds of Brahmanas and Kastas in Bengal now go secretly to eat dainties in public restaurants, and when they come out of those places pose as leaders of society and frame rules to support don't touchism? Must our society really be guided by laws dictated by such hypocrites? No, I say, on the contrary, we must turn them out. The laws laid down by the great disease of old must be brought back and made to rule supreme once more. Then alone can national well-being be ours. Disciple, then do not the laws laid down by the rishis rule and guide our present society? Swamiji, when delusion, where indeed is that the case nowadays? Nowhere have I found that laws of the rishis current in India, even when during my travels I searched carefully and thoroughly. The blind and not unoften meaningless customs sanctioned by the people, local prejudices and ideas, and the usages and ceremonials prevalent among us women are what and really govern society everywhere? How many care to read the Shastras or to lead society according to their ordinances after careful study? Disciple, what are we to do then? Swamiji, we must revive the old laws of the rishis. We must initiate the whole people into the codes of our old Manu and Yajna Valkya with a few modifications here and there to adjust them to the changed circumstances of the time. Do you not see that nowhere in India now are the original forecast Chaturvarna to be found? We have to redivide the whole Hindu population, grouping it under the four main castes of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Sudras as of old. The numberless modern subdivisions of the Brahmanas that split them into so many castes as it were have to be abolished, and single Brahmana caste to be made by uniting them all. Each of the three remaining castes also will have to brought similar into single groups as was the case in Vedic. Sometimes without this, will the motherland be really benefited by your simply crying as you uh, do nowadays? We won't touch you. We won't take him back into our caste. Never, my boy. So I end this video here. Thanks you. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks a lot. Namaskar, my dear friends.